Wait, this is Genesis? This looks really good for Genesis.
Yeah. It's obviously if you compare it to the original. By the way, sorry if my audio is coming in a little weird. I'm adjusting things on.
Oh, seizures.
But uh, but yeah. So the uh, the thing with the Genesis was it didn't have the FX chip functionality. So a lot of the 3D games on Super Nintendo, like Star Fox, like crap. Filter, transform. Flip the screen. There we go. Sorry. There we go. A lot of the 3D style games on the Super Nintendo used the Super FX chip, which was built into the cartridges. So Star Fox, Vortex, Stunt Race FX. This came out. This port I think came out '94 based on the copyright there. It would have been around the same time as the FX chip. So this port is trying its best to emulate the 3D polygonal look of Virtual Racing for the arcade, and also trying to show, possibly also intended to show that the Genesis can do like 3D looking stuff, like very primitive, simple 3D looking stuff, on relative par with Super Nintendo's Super FX chip technology, which they were really pushing at the time. It's sort of like Vector Man. Vector Man was also using a lot of a similar graphical style to Donkey Kong Country because it was intended to be sort of one of Sega's responses to the success of Donkey Kong Country. But yeah, I have not played virtual racing in a long time. This is a... Let me think. This port, I think I did play it as a kid, but I do remember playing the arcade. I do remember seeing and or playing the arcade version when I was very, very young. I won't... But yeah, you can see it's 3D!
3D, oh. It's not mode 7, it's mode 8.
Yeah, so we'll go with beginner. Alright, it'll take me some time to figure out how to start.
Man, Gran Turismo 4, eat your heart out. This game has the,
okay, there we go.
The animated pit crew as well.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough. Like, I mean, it looks okay, but there's some, you know... it kind of... Oh, like, crap.
Oh.
So, I wonder, you see that right there? Yeah, so...
See what?
You see the change in perspective that I did right there?
Yeah, the camera change.
Like that? And then...
Yeah.
Let's see. Like that? You see how that's a smooth transition?
Yeah.
That's from the arcade version. That's something that the arcade version also did. Now, I guarantee you have probably never played a racing game that did that. Where when you change the perspectives, it did that kind of camera movement.
Well, I have. I think they're either Sega games or they're newer games.
Right. If they were Sega games, you know, there's a reason for that. Because Sega patented that so that nobody else could do it. So that's why all of your favorite racing games have quick one-frame transitions when you're changing the perspectives. Because they for the longest time, Sega had a patent that said nobody else could do that. And they filed that patent for this game. It's very similar to Namco doing the whole, you know, mini games during loading screens and trying to copyright that and you know, then people didn't do it for the longest time so they wouldn't get sued by Namco. By the way, I'm doing awful. I know. I haven't played this game in a very, very long time. But that's kind of interesting to think about. Like, it's one of those things that makes me sort of hate copyright law a lot of the times, is that people just, you know, even SEGA, a company that kind of isn't as draconian as, say, Nintendo, is guilty of doing things of just patenting random functions. You know, that really, honestly, like, why do you get the right to do this thing that seems like less of a creative thing and more of like a matter of like logic or technical, like, capability? It, you know, it's like, you know, it's something that like all the like a lot of times video game companies have been doing it, you know, since forever, in some measure. And I think they've gotten away with it a lot of times because of just the sort of Wild West nature of the video game industry. You know, nobody really cared about the video game industry quite like other industries to check if like patents and things were legitimate. Namco's patents on the loading screen games, you know, was technically not valid because Commodore 64 games were already doing things like that. They had no right to file that patent, but nobody called them out on it.
And hiring the Yakuza.
I know Sega had definitely had some involvement in Yakuza. A lot of the Japanese game companies did, because you know, how else are you know, if you're a video game company who relies on arcades, right? Arcade revenues. You know, you don't want people making bootlegs of your arcade machines and putting them in their independent arcades and not giving you a cut. So what do you do? You know, the law doesn't care about video games. They want kids to stop playing video games. So you hire a bunch of Yakuza thugs to kidnap somebody's somebody's sister and hold her for ransom.
Yeah, how times have changed. Obviously, we're playing this the legal way.
The crashes are kind of cool, you know, like when you just like eat it, you know, the car like flips.
It's just like you go into a barrier and it like flips around like 500 times in a manner that it just wouldn't do realistically.
What are you talking about? It's totally realistic. It's just like the Gran Turismo movie. You remember when the banner for our Racing Game Tuesday event was like the screenshot of that crash where somebody died, and I felt so embarrassed because I really didn't know that somebody died in that crash. I just looked up a car crashing, car flipping or whatever, and oh, that's a funny image, and it's like, oh, that's from like a famous crash that somebody died as a result of that. That felt so awful.
I mean, if you ask me, I would have like got the one where Mark Webber was driving in Le Mans and his Mercedes just like flipped, just like done a backflip on the straight.
The Toyota lights ablaze. Make sure the slower cars see them. Here we go. Oh my god! Oh my god! The Mercedes has taken off.
Hit him, bam! It's none of that freaking Ridge Racer Type 4 crap where you bump them and, you know, like it's a slight bump and then they, you know, go flying forward. You just spin out completely.
You do exactly one spin, just in the same manner every time.
It is pretty hard to discern things visually. It's very impressive
Yeah.
for a Genesis game, but you see the problem here. Like
It's like the Need for Speed ports on the Game Boy Advance.
or like I'm trying to think of what to compare it to. Yeah, I mean, like Game Boy, which you just mentioned, Game Boy Advance ones, but like Game Boy Advance racing games that use the 3D, which there actually are a lot of.
It
But it's also,
it does
it almost feels like a Game Boy.
absurd amount.
Yeah, it almost feels like a Game Boy Color game. A really fast, high-end Game Boy Color game. It's not an insult. The Game Boy Color could do a lot.
No, I mean they look really good for like the GBA. Especially like Need for Speed Underground 2 and Call Me Cray Rally 2.0.
But like
Like,
with
those were ported to the GBA, and those look good for the GBA, but it's on the GBA.
yeah, but like also too like those GBA games, like where it's kind of hard to discern things because of the 3D, and then you if you're playing it on the original GBA with no backlight, you definitely can't see anything.
Yeah.
Now it's
That's-
kind of I'm
just
I'm playing this on my Anbernic on an HD TV. Imagine playing this on a CRT. Like you might as well just basically close your eyes. Close your eyes and pray that you know how to play.
By the way, I love that random like stock Formula One engine sample they just played there. It's like one of the cars is going past.
Yeah, that camera pan into the inside. Nobody else was allowed to do that for the longest time except Sega.
It's a Genesis game, and here you've got a cockpit view.
Even to have his hands, you don't normally see that. It looks like, you know, he's got like the same, looks like a super hot character. wait, what did I hit?
I think it was because you were on the grass.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see.
I think that camera angle's the best because that's where you can kind of see the most.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It handles really well. At least for me. I don't know. You're more the expert on that stuff than I am.
I mean, it looks like it makes sense. There's no weird like sudden drifting. Although I mean, I'm not a big fan of how the spins look, but I mean, what can you do in the Genesis really?
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to also compare it to the arcade
Very-
version.
Yeah, it's a very early racing game as well. This is before Gran Turismo.
What are you talking about? This is Gran Turismo.
It's just not. There's not enough autism for it to be Gran Turismo.
So you know how you've seen like demakes of games for like weaker systems and older systems, right? Like, you know, there's a Halo game for the Atari, like that kind of thing. I wonder how far could you demake Gran Turismo, like Gran Turismo 1?
Gran Turismo 1.
Like, how far could you remake Gran Turismo 1? As far as, like, what system... Like, what's the furthest system you could go down while still making it feel like the Gran Turismo experience just on, like, weaker hardware? I mean, I think... I don't think you could make an NES remake of Gran Turismo, for example, that did it justice. But I think I could see a Super Nintendo remake or a Genesis remake.
Maybe. I mean, you have to take into account like just the amount of physics that are even in like the first Gran Turismo, like the suspension physics. They're not as advanced as the later Gran Turismos, but the tire physics and like how the cars kind of slip and like how they jump and like just how they react to certain levels of grip. It's like that sort of attention to detail, which in this game, if you like go in the grass or like at the wall or something, it's just kind of like a pre-programmed, like predetermined spin. It wouldn't actually represent how the car would react in that situation. If like this were like Gran Turismo, I mean, there's no damage system in the earlier Gran Turismo games, uh, but the car would still kind of like react in in like a more like accurate manner, like just how it kind of loses grip or how it kind of bounces off the wall or something.
But what I'm curious though is how much could you compromise on that to like in an effort to demake Gran Turismo before it's like this no longer feels enough like Gran Turismo to even be called it. Like that's kind of what that's kind of what I wonder. If the realistic physics are a huge aspect of what makes Gran Turismo, even as far back as the first game with all its limitations, like how far could you compromise on that to make it fit on like a Genesis cartridge or make it fit on an SNES cartridge before it's like this feels like a completely different racing game.
Maybe you can just about get it on the Genesis or Super Nintendo, but I really think that's the only as far back as you can get, like if you even can.
I think one thing that I think you could do is you could somehow make it less 3D. As I mean, when you look at Gran Turismo 1 and 2, right? It's got JPEG people, JPEG audience people, like, as background and stuff like that. There are, it's not like everything is, like, the super high-end 3D. You could probably be like, okay, we can make the environments look more 2D to save space, and probably still keep, without having to touch the physics yet.
Yeah, they could also like compromise on like the textures as well. Like you see in this game where everything's kind of like flat colors.
Yeah, and you got the dithering to simulate the shading.
Yeah, you could do something like that. Also the sounds as well, the audio you could probably compromise on.
Yeah, and to be
But
fair,
you'd still want like the audio, like the revs and the tire squeals and everything to like naturally match like what's going on and like and what environment the car's in.
sorry, I'm just testing out what each button does. A lot of the buttons are just changing the views. I don't think there's an actual brake button on this game. Every other button just changes the view. There's no actual brake.
I mean, keep in mind this is a like Formula car. It's not gonna have any brake lights. So the only way you'll know it brakes is just through like braking and seeing if the car slows down.
So, like, right now, right there, right, to make that turn, I'm kind of just letting go of the acceleration. Kind of similar to what you do when you're doing the grip cars in Ridge Racer Type 4.
Yeah.
You can see there's that little backfire effect when I rev back up. I wonder another thing too. Like speaking of trying to demake Gran Turismo, you could go with a. I mean, you could. Okay, so that's how I change it. I'm not gonna. I never choose. I never choose manual in racing games. I'm too scared to do that.
It's just one of those things you need to get used to. Like if you ever try to use manual gears, it's like once you get used to manual gears, like it's so advantageous in racing games. You can kind of like you can pick your gear and then sort of have more control over like how much your car turns in or how much like grip it has in the exit.
Okay, I thought that was like a. I didn't realize that was a wall. Okay, I didn't realize that wasn't a cave.
I don't think Formula One races go through caves.
I looked like a tunnel.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool if they did though.